of Specialist Jocelyn Carrosquillo. Specialist Carrosquillo was a member of Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 1st of the 120th Infantry Battalion on the 30th Brigade's 2004 deployment to Iraq. Specialist Jocelyn L. Carrosquillo was killed on Saturday, March 13th, 2004 in Baghdad, Iraq, when an improvised explosive device detonated near the vehicle in which he was riding. Today, we say thank you to Specialist Carrosquillo's family for their sacrifice, and we honor him by dedicating this building to serve as a lasting symbol. This Readiness Center here in Goldsboro is a fitting tribute, as this is the area Specialist Carrosquillo called home, and where much of his family lives today. His memory will be carried on throughout the generations of soldiers who train here to support the state in times of disaster and to fight overseas for the freedom Specialist Carrosquillo paid the ultimate sacrifice to protect. The United States Army, the state of North Carolina, and the men and women who serve in our North Carolina National Guard are forever grateful for Specialist Carrosquillo's sacrifice. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as we honor our nation with the playing of the national anthem. And please remain standing for the invocation provided by Chaplain Jonathan Heitman. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our distinguished guest. With us today are the Adjutant General of North Carolina, Major General Gregory Lusk, the North Carolina National Guard State Command Chief Warrant Officer, CW5 James Herring, the North Carolina National Guard Senior Enlisted Leader, Command Sergeant Major John Swart, from Specialist Carrosquillo's family, United States Air Force Captain, retired, Louis Carrosquillo, Mrs. Isabel Carrosquillo, Mr. Ronald Carrosquillo, Mr. Louis Carrosquillo Jr., and Mr. Kenny Carrosquillo. We also welcome today U.S. Senator Richard Burr's representative, Mrs. Janet Bradbury, North Carolina Senator Donald Davis, North Carolina Representative Dr. Larry Bell, Wayne County Commissioner Mr. John Bell, members of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, Captain Ray Brogdon, Detective Carlos Lilly, and Detective Tammy Mazingo. Members of the Wayne County Veterans and Patriots Coalition, President Melissa Watkins, United States Air Force Major, retired, Mr. Brian Volk, and Mrs. Brenda Carter. And now it is my honor to introduce the 40th Adjutant General of North Carolina, Major General Gregory Lusk.
Thank you. And I think it goes without saying we shouldn't be here today. I mean, we're sitting here now with 13 years and 6 months, almost exactly to the day, that this young, vibrant, dedicated soul left our midst way ahead of what should have been his intended departure. And so much life and so much potential remained before him, it was just hard to imagine that he would not be in our midst much longer. And of course, we also are mindful of the fact that just this week, we commemorated the 16th anniversary of that 9/11 attack on our nation that really created that chain of events that resulted in so many of our men and women in uniform going overseas to defend our country. And he was one of those. Jocelyn was one of those unique souls, one of those very few in our nation of over 350 million that was willing to don our nation's uniform and answer that call to preserve our way of life, to protect it for future generations, and to do so regardless of the cost. It's unfortunate that he paid that ultimate cost, the cost of his life. And I recall very vividly the day sitting at Forward Operating Base Caldwell 13 and a half years ago and receiving the news as the 120th Infantry and the rest of the 30th Heavy Brigade Combat Team was making its approach march into the eastern Diyala province of Iraq when we got the word that this had happened. We lost our very first Old Hickory soldier for the first time since World War II. Again, quite an eye-opening experience, and one of those gut-wrenching things that just grabs you, it makes us all realize that this is no longer training, it's no longer a game, this is for real. It's unfortunate that we went through the rest of that deployment and we lost others in the course of conducting that mission. But none of us can say, because we can never measure, how many lives were saved by the fact that now we have this renewed sense of vigor, this renewed sense of vigilance, and this realization we have to be alert, we have to perform our jobs magnificently in order to accomplish our mission and return home to our families. So he gave us that. He gave us that once again by simply volunteering to serve. He wasn't looking for any fame or honor. He simply wanted to do his job. And when he raised his hand and took the oath and put on our nation's uniform, both in the Army Reserves and then eventually in the National Guard, when he joined us, he stood his place in line of National Guard. If you follow that line back throughout our nation's history, it transcends nearly 4 centuries and goes back to a day that prior to the founding of our republic. He's lived up to the traditions of the militia, of the Minuteman. Those that fired that shot heard around the world that gave birth to our nation, gave us freedom. It has fought in every combat mission around the globe ever since then. He took his place in line, did his job honorably. And now we're forced, because of these circumstances, to memorialize him and to commemorate his service and his life by dedicating this Readiness Center in his name. We do so with honor. We do so proudly. An armory, a Readiness Center, and as the chaplain described, brick, mortar, a lot of rich experiences occur inside those walls. But we know that historically, throughout the time that an armory was first built, it was a center of the community. I mean, there are weddings that happen there are proms for high schools, there are various community events. It's a place where the community gathers. So it's more than just a place for National Guard men and women to assemble to do training, to get ready for war, or perhaps to respond to a natural disaster. It is a community, the center of the community. So it's only fitting that indeed we embarked upon this effort to name this in honor of Jocelyn Carrosquillo. And when we do so, we will preserve his name. As we look at this picture, we realize that his face is now frozen in time. He's now going to be forever young, as his portrait is portrayed inside the halls of this building. Not only the future generations of soldiers that walk in and out that door will see realize and remember and reflect upon, but every member of our community should walk in and out of those doors also have that same experience. They will know what his life was about. They will know why he sacrificed, and they'll know all about his name, and they will pass it on from generation to generation. So again, it's only fitting that we should be there, we should be doing this today. Although we couldn't, she should be right here among us. We know that the family, you're always part of our team, you're always part of our family. Please understand that. We will always be there with you. You are forever bonded with us. And I know that we cannot erase the pain, nor can we fill the vacancy or the void that you have in your family. We will do our best to help you get through those tough times when you remember, reflect, but just remember how much we appreciate, how much we treasure your continued service to us. I'd like to thank so many other people that are here. Those, Master Sergeant Mavis Schwartz, so many others from our J9 section, and others that Paul Greatest, our Major Malcolm, who helped us very much in going through this process of identifying an armory named after our fallen. It's been a long and lengthy process, and it required the cooperation of so many, to include family members. And we understand that. We just totally, completely appreciate everything we've done. So happy to have some of our local elected officials and other leaders of the community. It's great to have all of our men and women from law enforcement here as well today, because we all work together to preserve our way of life. I'd like to thank our soldiers that are here also representing the Old Hickory Brigade. And some of them that I've had a chance to talk to remember that day. Some of them were riding in that convoy. Jocelyn met his fate. I'd also like to thank our band who, in countless occasions, has always added such dignity to any ceremonial event that we have. So with that, once again, thank you for being here. We shouldn't be here, but we are. We're going to make the best of this day. We're going to make it for the best of remembering Special Jocelyn Carrosquillo for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It is now my pleasure to introduce Specialist Carrosquillo's brother, Mr. Ronald Carrosquillo.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, also the ones that I work with at the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, and Sheriff Larry Pierce, and to the ones I've deployed with in Iraq, and all the other soldiers that have came here today to help me honor this event. It is truly an honor to stand before you this morning and tell you about my twin brother, my companion, my guardian. I find it hard to sum my brother up in short time we had together. Although mere words do not seem to do justice, I will attempt to capture his personality and loving nature in a few words. Jocelyn, as we call him Joes, was a humble and loving, caring person. He was my fraternal twin. By a couple minutes, my younger brother, making him the baby in our family of 4 boys. My younger brother, making him, throughout our school age years, we were inseparable. And it was in those early years of elementary school that I first remember my brother's determination and work ethic. When he was only about 7 to 8 years old, Joe began sweeping floors in a local Dudley store, Ben Price, that's located in Dudley by the fairgrounds on 117 South. His walks to Ben Price became nearly a daily venture, and eventually the store owner's son, Benny, commended Judge for his work and allowed him to work at the store. Joseph's relationship with the Prices bloomed into what would become a lasting kinship. They taught him some tricks of the mechanic's trade and how to wash cars and mentored him. That relationship, I believe, helped Joe become a dedicated person. He joined the Air Force ROTC at Southern Wayne, a move that allowed him to develop leadership skills he would carry over into the United States Army Reserves, in which he enlisted after high school graduation. Joe continued to work while attending Wayne Community College. I remember when he and I worked with our mother at the Migrant Head Start located in Dudley, where Joe was a bus monitor. He would sing with children and play games with the children on the bus route. He had so much energy and enthusiasm, endearing him to both the children and staff. No matter the job, Joe's had a knack for making friends with co-workers. His passion to help others shine during his time at Oberry Center, where he took care of the elderly patients and those with special needs. In pursuit of his education to become an occupational therapy assistant and massage therapist, he eventually moved to Wilmington, where he transferred to the 120th National Guard from the Army Reserves. He had also had worked at Sam's Club, where he did numerous jobs, and the employees and customers loved him. He had completed the academic portion of our occupational therapy program at Cape Fear Community College and was finishing the clinical portion of the program when he was told that his unit was going to be deployed to Iraq. He had a heart of gold and would never complain. If anyone needed help, he loved to hang out with his friends and dance. He loved to dance. He was my mentor. He never complained. He was a problem solver. He was my guardian, a role model I got to fulfill when I found out he was going to Iraq. I only had one more month left in Iraq when we had our last conversation. He was so excited about getting deployed, asking me how much he would make and what life was like in Iraq. I remember telling him that was pretty safe where I was at in Iraq. And that the only problems were IEDs. I told him I loved him and that I hoped to see him in Iraq before I headed back to the States. I got the news a couple weeks later that Joe had been killed by IED. I can't explain what it's like to lose your twin brother, for someone who was humble, compassionate, and as loving as he was. I couldn't understand why he was taken so young. I take solace in fact that he gave his life to God the night before he deployed. Many nights I look up into the sky and I can see a smile. I believe that if he could share any advice with us today, it would be to stay positive and not to worry and smile. Most of all, it was his smile that would brighten up our life and memory about him. We love you, Joe, and please continue to watch over us, and we'll see you in heaven one day. I would also like to thank Paul Gratis for being the big support to our family and all the other families of the National Guard. I appreciate your support. I love you.
Thank you, Ronnie. Ladies and gentlemen, The tradition of unveiling signifies a new chapter in the history of a facility. We will continue that tradition here today. At this time, Major General Lusk and his staff would like to invite the Carrosquillo family to join him as we officially rename this Readiness Center in honor of Specialist Carrosquillo.